Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Rivalz Race Chat. Tuesday night here with Adam and Clinton as usual. How you doing, buddy?
I'm hanging in there, man. I'm getting excited. Honestly, I feel crappy. I was just saying before we came on, like I've got an upset stomach for some reason. Don't know why, because usually that's the most durable part of me. But not feeling it, but I think that'll come around. It's got to. It's race time.
You know, I felt great right after 8 today, and I actually had a healthy sub, which was a change for me, and I felt great, and then an hour later, I was just like, I don't know. We'll figure that out later. But, Adam, we are almost into the racing season. I mean, stuff is kicking off all over the place, and because it's you and I tonight, one of our guests couldn't make it. We were going to have him on to talk about a few things, and instead of cramming in, we've got a lot to talk about coming up, so you and I will just shoot the shit for an hour. As always, we want your questions and comments, so feel free to participate along. We'd like to welcome everybody who's also watching on Facebook, as we've started simulcasting a lot of our G4 stuff back on Facebook. So if you're new watching on Facebook, look us up, gforcetv.net on YouTube. You can also search just GeForce on YouTube. Give us a like and subscribe, and you'll be notified when we're running all our programming, which kicks off this week. Spencer, are you ready to go with the promo? Let's just roll the promo, and then we'll talk about all the events coming up.
21 racing season is almost here, and GeForce TV is ready to bring you all the action. In the coming weeks, we have plenty of live short track racing here on GeForce TV. Our live coverage kicks off Saturday, June 19th at Flamborough Speedway. The Pro Late Models headline one of the first full racing programs in the province. The night will also feature the Pure Stocks, Mini Stocks, Super Stocks, and the Canadian Vintage Modifieds. Saturday, June 26th, it's time to get dirty. The Knights of Thunder 360 Sprint Car Series brings its first ever event to the newly reconfigured and rebranded Southern Ontario Motor Speedway. They will be joined by Mini Mods, Thunder Stocks, and the UMP Modifieds and Late Models. Friday, July 2nd, the APC United Racing Series Late Models roar into the always fast and tough Delaware Speedway for their first event of the 2021 season. Last year, the action on the tour was wild, and this will be a must-see event. It will also mark the inaugural event for the Quick Wick Firestarter Super Stock Series. The very next night, Saturday, July 3rd, we head to the North Shore of Lake Ontario as the Knights of Thunder charge east to Brighton Speedway. Racing alongside the sprint cars will be Late Models, Mini Stocks, Thunder Stocks, and the Canadian Modifieds. Don't miss a lap. Catch all this action free and live on GeForce TV. Subscribe today for free at gforcetv.net.
Excited about that. Decker's ready to go at him. He started barking right in the middle of it.
Man.
And the best part of I put that video together. So watching you wrestle your dog was way more entertainment than in the off screen. But we're excited, man. We get kicking off with GeForce in our new production unit this Saturday at Flamborough, which is June 19th. Just to answer one of the questions, Fran asked, will some of the Canadian races and will Merrittville be part of our GeForce Light program? We are working on all those things, and that is part of the plan, Fran, to bring Merrittville as part of the Light package. If you're new to the deal and don't know what Light is, that's just where we don't take the full production, which basically a one-camera shoot with telemetry added, and works so well. Adam, let's talk about...
And it's not live.
Correct.
I'm not. I don't think you. So the light product is shown a day after, 2 days after. And it's great to be able to relive it. I like the fact that the race teams watch it and comment as things are going on. They already know what's going to happen, but at least they can voice their opinions.
There's a whole debate with that, Adam. That brings up a whole other topic we could have, the topic of selling DVDs. I mean, you can't buy DVDs anymore. Race teams still want to buy DVDs. We've kind of changed our model a bit by streaming, and that took kind of the DVD production video guys out of the deal. But last year with Sean Robertson, I mean, we were able to make it work with him where he was still doing all right and we were still able to give. And I think that's the best bet. I mean, we don't want to hurt anybody's economics, but if we can make sure the camera guys are still getting their end of it and they don't have to do all that labor and legwork to sell the DVDs, we're also giving it away to the world. So everybody who didn't pay the money is also getting the product. And I think that's healthy for the sport. So we're going to continue to work that. Off the top of my head, when I look at the G-Force Light, I think we're going to be working to try and get Flamborough, Merrittville, Humberstone. Ohsweken is scheduled to be live when they get open every week. Then we've also got some Oscar events that we're thinking are going to be G-Force Light. So that fold of the channel is still going to keep rolling a lot this year as we get rolling. Adam, let's talk about Flamborough's first event, June 19th. That's this Saturday. It's going to kick off around dinner time on G-Force TV, our first live production with our full setup and kind of our chance to kick the tires and light the fires this summer. You're closer to the Flamborough situation, obviously, with Connor running the Canadian Vintage Modified. There's been some practices Saturday, and if I understand, they're practicing right now because you mentioned that, and I tried to call Doug Leonard, and that's probably why he's race directing practice. That's why I couldn't take my call. But what's going on at Flamborough? What's the buzz? What do you feel, bud?
So Saturday they had an open practice for all divisions, and cars went out in groups. So it was great. We took Connor's Vintage Modified, John Carley's Vintage Modified down for Connor to drive. And you'd get out there and run a set of 10 laps or so. You'd come in, it'd be about 40 minutes until your next set because they were rotating through divisions. And there was, I think the most of anything was maybe 6 late models, which was really cool because you had the best of the best. You had Kyle Steckley, J.R. Fitzpatrick, Nick Sheridan, or is it, I get the Sheridan boys mixed up. Isn't that terrible? Jake Sheridan. Some Trayton Lapsovich, Ryden Lapsovich. There was some brand new equipment out there. I think it's going to be a lot of fun to watch. A lot of people stayed away on Saturday because they didn't want to fight the crowds. They wanted to get some quality practice time. So I said, okay, we're going to wait until Tuesday or Thursday. The difference being Tuesdays and Thursdays are one car at a time. There's no flag person. There's no tow truck. There's nothing. It is one car on the track at a time. Go until you feel like coming off. I stopped by on my way home from work. I had a chat with Jim Sweers and Randy Marshall and Junior Hanley. They were all there with TJ Marshall's Vintage Modified. He backed out of his pit stall and pulled into line when I showed up. It was an hour before he got onto the racetrack because there were so many teams there getting practice in one car at a time.
Wow. It's good to see it's healthy, for one. Good on Flamborough. I mean, I was talking to John Brush from Corpac today, and he goes, running a racetrack with no fans, it's got to be like opening your patio with no patrons. He's like, how are they doing this? And he's a business guy. And I said, well, kudos to Flamborough. They're working it out. I mean, we know that the crew over there, John and Frank, Doug and Gary, and whoever else pitches in over there, they're going to get it done. And I think there's no more dedicated guys out there than them. I mean, they'll figure out a way to get it done. Flamborough looked great last year. I'm super excited to go back to Flamborough. And for me, Adam, that's something I don't think I could have said 10 years ago, right? You know what I mean? Like for me, I was a dirt guy. I was at Merrittville all the time. I was like, Flamborough. I've fallen in love with the place. I mean, that's what I'd like to say to all the dirt fans out there. If you haven't given the asphalt a real fair shake and look at it with the real open eye, you're doing yourself some disjustice because we were out there last summer and we had a fantastic time. I'm pumped to go to every late model race and every pavement race just as much as I am the dirt stuff. So, and that's something I would not have said a while ago, but I'm pumped. No. I think it's going to be amazing.
Let's think about something, Clinton. There was a time not that long ago, let's say 20 years ago, 25 years ago, where it wasn't just pavement versus dirt. You were a pavement person, you were a dirt person. It was if you were a Kawartha Friday and Moseport Saturday oval tracks, that was one clique. You did not go anywhere else. You were Kawartha Moseport. Then there was, when All-Star got together, it was unheard of. Brought together Peterborough, Sunset, Flamborough, Sauble. I think at that time Delaware still wasn't part of it because Delaware was Cascar. It was on its own island. In the dirt world, you had Merrittville, Humberstone, and kind of Ohsweken, because our headline division was Dirt Sportsman at the time, right?
Yep.
Buxton and Brighton were not part of the conversation. They were on their own islands, different divisions, different rules. So everyone doing their own things, and we all lived in our own spaces. Fast forward to this year, the people at Buxton know what the people at Brighton are doing. Yeah. There's not an asphalt track out there where people aren't interested or even going to the other track. So we're seeing kind of it sucks that racetracks have closed. It sucked to lose Moseport. It sucked to lose Kawartha, even though it's still there. It's not being used. Like, it's never a good thing when racetracks close. But what it's done is brought the racing community together in a way that I've never seen it before.
No, I agree, Adam. And I think that the whole dynamic has changed. And I think even from us promoters' standpoint, there was a time when we all kind of put up our own walls and our own fences, and we tried to keep everybody in, whether it was with rules or memberships or handicapping or whatever the gimmick was, to keep everybody in your own backyard. And I think now you see us, at the Motorama panels, for example, I take great delight in listening to what a guy like JP from Peterborough has to say and what he's doing, and what a guy like Brian Todish is doing from Sunset, even though their classes and their cars, and like you say, the clique is totally different than what we are. We still are learning and communicating more. And then you see everybody working. I mean, you and I have talked about on the show a couple times about our December 5th meeting at the APC headquarters, where all the tracks were there, and you just got to see the cooperation. And we were fortunate enough to be flies on the wall there because of our G-Force affiliation, and we had a small presentation, but we had 6 hours to soak up, a lot of great stuff that's going on in the pavement world. So, and on the dirt side, you look at what the ODCC has done, where we've got 5 tracks on common rules now. Last night, we were on a conference call with all 5 promoters again, just talking about things like, hey, how are you going to handle the seatbelt deal? How are you going to handle your helmet rule this year? All these types of things that we work together on. And I think that's huge for the industry to keep us all, pulling the same rope in the same direction, if you will, instead of, being a tug of war for other things. Is what else are we missing about Flamborough, Adam? We'll be live on G-Force around dinner time. I think probably just slightly after 5, we'll probably come live. That's a bit of our post talk here tonight to settle up when we're going to come live. But I think we're going to go live with the countdown at 5 o'clock and come on the show about 5:20, I believe, with our pre-show stuff, and then jump on at 5:30 with live action.
I want to share a couple things, Clinton. I'm kind of going to get up on a soapbox here, but take it for what it's worth. No, it's going to be a ton of fun. I can't wait until we get to go racing this weekend, but I still don't like it. It's still not the same without fans, right? As much we have not acknowledged, like, we keep doing our thing. We're on the air all throughout the off season, all throughout the on season. We're getting to go racing. We've got to build something that I'm really proud of in G-Force, but please, I want people to understand, which I'm sure you do, regardless of which side of the equation you're on, it is not as good without grandstands full of fans. I watch your promo video, Clinton, and it's so well done. I love it. But the thing that sticks out to me the most is the huge empty grandstand at Jukasa at the start of the one shot. Yeah. And it just... nothing you can do. It is what it is. Thankfully, promoters and teams and sponsors have gotten together and made things work. But I do ask this, folks, when it is okay to come back to the races, please, for the love of all things sacred, take advantage of, you bought a ticket, cheer as loud as you can, boo as loud as you can, be vocal, be proud, make signs, embrace it, enjoy it. We need to get the atmosphere back, and we need it back right away, Clinton. Nobody can guarantee full grandstands, but for goodness sake, if you're going to go cheer for your favorite drivers, boo for the ones you don't like, trust me, folks, people don't mind. The worst thing a driver can hear or an announcer can hear is silent grandstands. It is kryptonite. So If you're going to spend your money to go to the races, please take advantage of the fact that we're boisterous fans. We're happy to be back and make it loud. We were talking about, in fact, I'm going to go off on a tangent. Junior Hanley, when he starts telling stories, you listen. Do you have time for a couple of Junior Hanley stories?
We got an hour, buddy.
He was talking about different places he's gone racing. Someone posted on Facebook an old newspaper clipping that showed that he had won a feature at Mount Clemens and then again at another track 3 hours away on the same day. Yes, he did those things. He loaded up, took off, went to 2 tracks, won at both tracks. He told a story about going to Phoenix, the old Copper World Classic, if you remember those days. Huge events.
Yeah.
And there was a super late model race that paid $12,500 and a Rolex watch to win. He went down there. He won the race. It was a great payday. They put out a rule book for the next year. He built a car especially to go to Phoenix. He towed all the way down there and went out to practice. And I'm not going to throw out any names, but this is the time of the Rick Corellis and the Ron Hornadays, and a number of drivers got together, said, if you let him race, we're packing up and going home. They didn't like what Junior had brought. So the promoter goes down, Junior, I'm so sorry. He says, we got to have a show. We can't let you race. Rick Corelli's car owner was a young man, went over to Junior and said, Junior, this really sucks. He says, it's not much, but we brought our Nashville car here. Says, if you want to run it, it's yours. In 2 days, they unloaded this Nashville car of Rick Corelli's. It had run 500 laps at Nashville. The brakes were cooked on it. There was a lot of work needed to be done. They worked on it for 2 days. His first lap on the track was 1 lap of qualifying. He went out, won the race. Collected $12,500 and a Rolex watch. Do you know what the car owner wanted, Clint?
The watch.
The trophy. Junior
Oh,
kept
really?
the watch, kept the $12,500. To hear him, and I've had lots of conversations. I'm blessed to have been around Junior quite a bit. He's quite often very subdued, very quiet. Once in a while, when you get him telling stories, man, it's amazing. Got time for one more?
Yeah.
Good. The Molson Export Series. You know, there used to be a lot of money when cigarettes and booze and beer was spending money.
Yeah.
Joe Ruttman used to come up, and he and Junior would battle nose to nose in these Molson Export races. Well, Junior towed down to Antigonish, Nova Scotia to race on a Saturday night. He won at Antigonish, Nova Scotia, loaded the car at midnight. The next night, there was a race at Delaware. Joe Ruttman, man, I got this one in the bag. Junior Hanley shows up just in time to go racing. He drove straight from Antigonish by himself, no crew, by himself from Antigonish to Delaware, went out and won that race as well. So to hear him say these things, and I've heard his tow vehicle, he built a cube van, Clint, that had a big enough fuel tank in the back of it to get him from Oakville to New Smyrna Beach, Florida without having to stop.
I was going to say, okay, because my dad lives in Halifax, so I have driven that drive, and I'm not a stop and hotel guy. It takes me a long time to go to sleep. I'd rather just hustle through the night. Like, we have some Quebec trips potentially coming up, and I'll probably drive through the night, sleep a few hours, and sleep on the way home. But I just think, that is an 18-hour drive. So as you're telling that story, I'm trying to calculate, that's probably 17 to 19 hours, depending on where. So that means
I said 20.
So if he left at midnight, you're hauling ass, balls out all the way across the country to make it, to tag that feature at 8:30, 9 o'clock the next day.
Right.
Like,
and that's what he's doing. He's not
getting in. I got 2 quick stories for you then. One story like that was James Michael Friesen when we were racing. I was announcing at Humberstone, and we were in the infield, and the Gordons were friends with him and Justin Sharp and all the guys we kind of drink beer with and watch races with. And they said, Jimmy, we used to run Weedsport and hustle back because they ran early in the day, and he could get back in time for Humberstone at 9. It was like a double payday, and he really did good at both. One night he's hustling back, and the night's going good at Humberstone. They ran a little late at Weedsport, so we're getting hourly updates. He's 1 hour out. He's half hour out. He's at the border. He's pulling in. So I said, just and Bobby Davidson was pissed at me for this, the owner, and I was the announcer then. And I got a message to Jimmy, and I said, just get inside the gate. And if you know Humberstone, right off of turn 1, there's a berm, and the gate's right there. I said, just get that truck inside the gate before they go green, and we'll make a show of it. They get the truck in right as the cars are pacing. They have to go yellow because Jimmy now parks his haul there. All the fans are watching. And I tell him, get in the car. Get in the car. So he gets in the car. Now, like Evel Knievel, he rips out of the enclosed trailer with the car roaring. Nobody ever sees that. Pulls up, tags the field, and they black flag him. And they are booing the hell out of the race director. Let him race. Let him race. Well, we already had 24 cars. They already put 3 on the B. And next week, Bobby gets me and he goes, can you not make us look like assholes? And I said, Bobby, that was a show and a half, and you're going to sell a few tickets because of that. But I'm like, just get out here. And we were pumping everybody up. And the last quick story I got, back to Nova Scotia, reminds me of a story my dad used to tell me when I was a kid. He raced mini stock when he was 16, 17. He got invited to go to a race in the States. I don't know where it was, probably Weedsport or something. A mini stock invitational. So he tows all the way down there, no crew, by himself, gets there, and he was 17 at the time. And he shows his letter, his invitation letter, and they ask him for his ID, and he shows, and they said, well, you're only 17. You can't race here in New York at 17. And he says, well, I guess you owe me the winner's share then for inviting me down and not letting me race. And he says, no. And he says, let me go. So my dad tells the story, goes over to the phone booth, makes a couple calls, pretends he's talking to somebody, ain't talking to nobody. Comes back and says, well, I just called my lawyer, and he says, if you pay me the winner's share, we can go. And they end up negotiating something. My dad got paid something, and then I'm going home. I don't think it was the winner's share, but I was like, I had to pay me something for driving down. But anyways, good stories. If we could get some of those old timers on this show to tell those stories, it would be great. Do you want to stick around Ontario scene for a bit? Do you want to jump to SRX and talk about that and then come back to Ontario, Adam? What do you want to do?
Yeah, we can go to SRX for sure.
So Saturday was the big SRX debut. If you're with us last week, you saw Kevin Ridley on, who's a New York area sportsman racers now down there racing with them guys. It was great to have Kevin on. You know, do you want to go first? And you know what? Let's let the fans in because they know you and I disagree on everything. Sunday morning, we were happily agreeing. I'm like, holy crap, we actually agree with each other. What is going on? There must be something wrong. So first
the good,
off,
the bad, and the ugly.
Comments. Tell us what you guys thought about SRX. I see Alvarez is commenting already. Do you want to go first? Do you want me to go first? Let me go first because you're long-winded. How about that?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm at a party at T-Max Bar and Grill with the boys. Die-hard racers. Guys who generations deep. There's about 8 or 10 of us there all having cold beers. We put on SRX. I have to explain to them what it is, for one, because they're only in their own little racing world. We watch it. It's cool. Okay. Halfway through the first heat, nobody wanted to watch it. They all like, shut this crap off. Let's go over. And we watched The Dream at Eldora instead. So that was my first indication. Okay, you got all these diehard racers, and they couldn't give a rat's ass about it. They were just like, no. And I don't know, was it the lack of modern superstars, if I can put it that way? Where was Chase Elliott? Where was Larson? Where was, the superstars of Indy? If they're trying to replicate the IROC, it just wasn't the same with B-level guys, if I can put it that way. So give us your thought.
I'm going to preface this by saying, I'm going to open by saying, I don't want to bash it because I don't know what it's supposed to be. Okay, so I'm going to speak to it in how I would have done. I'm gonna armchair quarterback. All right, it was like IROC only without champions. Or IROC on a short track. Okay, I can live with that. Like we talked about Sunday morning. What is it supposed to be? Is this Dancing with the Stars?
Yes, that was the comment you said that I loved.
Yeah,
Dancing with Stars.
Is it Circus of the Stars? They had an opportunity to do something huge. And it's fine. They raced. There was some passes. I will give them this. The crowd was phenomenal. Unbelievable crowd. Talking to Kevin Ridley afterwards, he said the crowd was so loud. They were so into it. It was so electric. I love that. Okay, so on that end, A+. If that's what they were shooting for, A+. If you're going to produce made-for-TV content, hit your friggin' marks. The fact that it went over 10 o'clock, I PVR'd it. I didn't get to see the finish. It is made for TV, people. Make it work. If you're going to time the heats, time the damn feature. Get your shit together. If you've got that block, use that block. People's biggest complaint when it comes to sports is whatever was on before them runs over. Look at the Detroit IndyCar race. A lacrosse game goes into overtime. People don't get to watch the IndyCar race. What the heck did I have on that preempted the IndyCar race? It was in and out. I forget what it was. So Alan Bestwick, Danica Patrick, the broadcast team, they did a nice professional job. Ray Evernham and the old guy that they had that was instrumental rather in getting IROC going, can't remember his name. They did a start your engines that, okay, it probably doesn't rank in my top 100 commands. If you're a made-for-TV entity, if you've got that live crowd, man, sell it. Fireworks. Mash it. Do something phenomenal. Maybe it's just a paycheck. Maybe someone just came with a big check and told Ray Evernham, we'll give you lots of money if you design these cars and build these cars. Tony Stewart will give you lots of money. We need you to fill 2 hours on CBS on primetime on a Saturday night. If that's the case, they nailed it. If they were trying to create something that people watch, Ernie Francis Jr., a decorated young sports car racer who, in terms of mainstream motorsports, is going absolutely nowhere. If this was a way to get him attention and push him into celebrity status, okay, I can live with that too. I just don't know what it is, so I don't even know how to critique it. The racing, I hope there was a support division.
Yeah. I think you hit a lot of points, Adam. I think the one thing you said that is the core message is what CBS was trying to do. And then they openly said, we need to fill a couple hours in our Saturday time slots in the summer, So
I want to fight. I want to fight with Gary Short. I'm going to fight with Gary Short. I just read his comment. This year's Indy 500 winner was a friggin' miracle. He was part of SRX long before he won the Indy 500. And if it was made for TV racing, it was missing a few things. It wasn't that good, it wasn't on time, and it wasn't electrifying. Bring in the announcers that called the darts matches. They're more exciting. That's something that I would think, holy shit, yeah, let's do it. So made for TV. You want to know what's made for TV? Robbie Gordon's stadium trucks. Any stadium
awesome.
Trucks.
Yeah.
Like there are some phenomenal made for TV action motorsports. This is not one of them.
So let's break a couple things down. The cars. I thought the cars came out good. They raced all right. I didn't have no problem with the cars, I thought that was all right. I had an issue with who they picked. And I mean, we've said this around here. Like, thankfully at Oshweek, Steyrs is ready to pay the money to bring in the best guy available. Not the best guy we can afford. The best guy who's available, and we'll pay what that is. Be that Tony Stewart, Casey Kane, Kyle Larson, Christopher Bell. We try and bring in the best guys we can. That's my argument here. I mean, I think they had to reach higher, and it was the Michael Waltrip aspect. And then when you said Dancing with the Stars for cars, I was like, wow, that's kind of what it felt like. And I don't think that's what they were going for. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Maybe not. Maybe not.
How do you not know to add extra time to a PVR? Come on, everything runs overtime. I don't
because it's made for TV.
Still,
it's made for TV. No, there is no excuse. There was zero wrecks, and they still went overtime.
Like, there were wrecks, but none that slowed down the show.
For that live crowd, thank goodness for Doug Coby. Like, that was fantastic. Really cool. The crowd was chanting. They were into it. But then when I look at that, is it Harlem Globetrotters? Right? Like, you're going to put out a whole bunch of Washington Generals and have one person there that's the Harlem Globetrotter and come in and make the crowd happy. So again, I don't have anything against it. I just think there's going to be some NASCAR announcements coming out soon. Folks, keep this conversation in mind when those announcements come out. Okay? Think about it. Wrap your head around it. It has to be worth it if you're going to do... Was Tony Stewart? Yeah, he was there racing. And he was at Eldora right up until the last possible minute.
Okay, but see, that's the other thing. Okay, so we're watching the SRX on CBS. And then my buddies switched to the Dream at Eldora. If you're Tony Stewart, like, that had to be... I mean, I guess obviously he had no choice, right? Because CBS had those weeks to fill and the dream was already on that week. But it just seemed like poor planning. Obviously, there's other reasons why, but I
Now,
was thinking, man, Tony, do you realize we shut off your one series and because your other one was more interesting? It's just,
that's a win-win.
I guess so, yeah.
I'll give you this. If they'd have run this during the dream, Dora, bonus.
Yes. Okay.
Run it
let's
at
talk about
run it
that.
at Oswego. Run it at Oswego during the Classic, and then run it again at Oswego during Super Dirt Week. Okay,
Now
so
you're
there's
talking
things you
spring
could
break.
do, right? Yeah, there's no reason you'll have a huge audience. Put it on TV. No one's going to stay home if they're going to those races. There's just a lot of things that could have been done that I think would really be dynamite. But speaking about the Eldora Dream, Clinton, I love the way they qualify for that race.
How's that?
From
Explain it for
using
the
so there's a night before the dream where they have two separate features, right? So you're two totally different groups. So you're trying to qualify for the 24 spots. You make good money to win that 35 lap feature, 40 lap feature, whatever it is the night before. So there's time trials, there's heats, there's consies, and a feature. Every time you're on the track, you accumulate points. Obviously, the driver who accumulates the most is going to be the winner of one of the features. But it means every time, whether it's time trials, whether it's your heat, whether it's your B main, you get the chance to accumulate points because the next night, the night it really matters, they line up these super heats. The heats are like small features to themselves based on your points from the night before. Every time a race car hits the track at the Dream, it matters and it's worth money. So on race night, on the big night, when the big money's on the line, you've got your heats, then you've got your consi. They run their consi, they run the top three finishers over the scales, they leave the rest of the cars on the racetrack. Top three finishers go over the scales. As long as they all make weight, they leave the cars on the track, they run 5 more laps, the winner gets in. One of the cars doesn't make weight, they're done for the night. You pull a car off the track from what they call the scramble, and if he makes weight, then you run the scramble and one more car gets in. I just thought it has everything a race fan could want. You can have come from behind stories, but I just thought, and it's not that much different, Clinton, than say other events that you would see anywhere else, the Chili Bowl, the Knoxville Nationals, but it's a little bit different and it's a little bit really cool.
I do like the aspect of it counting every time you're on the track, because every time you put your car out there, you're costing yourself money, you're risking your equipment, you're risking your body. I mean, same thing we talked about with, when we used to run non-point nights at Ush Weekend when all the invaders would come in, and it just, if you're a Corey Turner and you wax everybody on that night, and that's the one night you win, and you don't get any points than the guy who finishes, Westbrook finishes 14th that night, you whip him, that's a big chance to make big points, and now you don't get it. So pretty much everything I'm scheduling now for sprint cars is everything counts. Everything's a point night.
Yep.
It's got to be worth it. Speaking of Westbrook, picking up a big win on Saturday, the A-Main at Knoxville. Kudos to him. Just commenting on Robert Wood's comment. He's one announcer Saturday said, "Hey, the next race is on dirt, Knoxville." And they say, "Yeah, a lot happening in Tennessee." Shows a lack of knowledge because it's obviously in Iowa, Knoxville, not Knoxville, Tennessee. So I don't know.
And that's I'm critical.
So are we judgment on SRX till we see another one?
No, I want to do some more homework and find out what it's supposed to be about. Because someone asked a question way back when: have we ever seen someone who was as good as Kyle Larson? That was a bunch of comments ago, and I would say yes, we have. Although nobody has had the amount of opportunity that Kyle Larson has had to excel. And I'm not taking anything away from Kyle Larson. I think based on any criteria you can put up, he is the best in the world. But what I'm saying is when you go to your local racetrack next and you sit in the grandstands, pay close attention to the drivers that come out there, because I can almost guarantee you there's a Kyle Larson in that field. I think there's thousands of people who could be really, really good if they got the opportunity. Kyle Larson is a perfect storm of someone who has the skill set and who also got the opportunity. And when I say things like that, Steve Lyons in his prime. I think Steve Lyons got into a sprint car when he was too old and too mature and had a business to run. That man has won races in every type of car he's ever climbed into. There's other people like that you can point out. It's like, wow, it doesn't matter what you put these folks into, they can win.
I'm reading a comment that you shared here. Braden McMahon shared this tweet, and it was, y'all remember when NASCAR anti-dirt fans said Larson only won so much last year because he was racing against less talented drivers? Well, what do you say now, right? And, you know, he's definitely putting the time in. He's out there racing. And, you know, one of the other comments in that was, you know, all the other superstars are sitting around the pool. He's out getting sharper every night. So I agree, Adams, what you say about the short track. There's a superstar out there in the mix. But you look at the NASCAR guys he's beating now, and he is training every night going over. And, you know, there was a picture shared by Jamie Little on Monday or after he won, and it was him on the tram going to the airport, flying out to Ohio for sprint weeks now. And she said, what a machine, you know, just raced all his late models, come in, wins the All-Star race. Now he's off the thing. All the other NASCAR guys have the funding to do that. You know, they could put up those same kind of numbers. No,
they don't all have the same clauses in their contract to be able to.
Well, okay, that's a whole other thing. But yes, too. Neither did he.
Phenomenal interview.
Until he got ousted and then came back, because part of our negotiation with Larson was it took us 2 seasons to get Oshwekin onto his 25 list, because he was allowed to do 25 races with Ganassi. He finally, you know, a couple others bowed out, kind of like we had to bow out last year, and that opened up the door for Oshwekin, and that got us Kyle Larson. So now I think, you know, Hendrick sees the light. If you're Rick Hendrick, you got to be happy with the contract. He's out there. He's making your sponsors look good. He's putting your business on the map, kicking ass across the land. I mean, I've always been a Larson fan. I remember telling my dad when he was 18 coming in, I'm like, Dad, you know, this is the kid you got to pay attention to. You know, good to see him back.
He will say, and there are people who will say Christopher Bell is better. Wait until you see Chris. When Kurt Busch was great, he still is great. But when Kurt Busch was just coming through as the next big thing, he says, wait until you see my brother. Some of it's hype, some of it's truth. He is amazing, and it's amazing what he does. If you were a risk analyst for some of these mega sponsors, for some of these mega teams, you might say, man, this is too big a gamble. We would rather have Chase Elliott, who's going to run 8 races on the side, but have 4% more likely chance of staying healthy, right? Like it comes down to crazy analytics, and it happens. There were some fantastic interviews this weekend. One with Tony Stewart, where they talked about Kyle Larson, and Tony said Kyle Larson is better than he ever was. Another with Jack Hewitt, and they talk about the same thing about who's the best. And Jack Hewitt talks about the Mario Andretti's and the AJ Foyts and the Tony Stewarts. And there is a progression. The kid can climb into anything he wants and be competitive, and that is very, very impressive.
Oh, for sure. Keep your eye on these up and coming kids, because you know, like Adam said, some of them are at your local short track. And you know, I was gonna say a guy like Chase Elliott, you're right, from his list of say 8 races, but those races are like the Snowball Derby. These are late model, full bodied on a short track, not like Larson out there at all these bull rings all over the land, racing at places like Oshwekin. Now, racing's the only sport where you don't need any talent to participate, right? Let's face it, you show up with the car. So what Larson's doing by barnstorming is really a lot more risky than a lot of these other guys are doing, because I could win a lottery tonight, which I had a dream. My mom won the lottery last night, and I hope you do tomorrow, Ma. But, you know, Mom could win the lottery. I could buy a sprint car, and I could draw and line up beside Kyle Larson and wreck him out of the park and ruin his year. I mean, it happened to Tony Stewart, you know, broke his leg at a race, and that took him out for a while. Anyways, let's try a new segment, Adam. I don't know if you're familiar with it. We had a lot of short video submissions this week. So instead of one Burger Barn video of the week, we're going to have a Burger Barn collage of videos. So a
medley. I love a medley.
So Spencer, let's look at, we'll save the combined fours at Sauble because I want to have a discussion about that. We'll also save tire shortages. Let's jump into our first Burger Barn medley video. It would be the Mount Lawn Speedway car fight, Adam. And this is classic case of using your car as a weapon. This one went on a little bit longer. And Spencer, I don't know if we're going to see the whole video or not. But just when you see the look of this place, Adam, you're just going to see it and know that it's a track. Roll it, Spencer. It's look at it. It's a 1.5 lane blacktop cut through the lawn at Mount Lawn Speedway, and these two street stockers, they're having a good go, and there is barely 2 lanes here anyway. But they're getting rednecky, getting dicey, getting a little bit more on each other's temperature gauge, if you will. And then at the end, it just goes batshit crazy. So just watch this. Runs them up into the grass, off the wall, and then you're not going to take it no more. So this was Kevin Claiborne and Brian Hopkins at Mount Lawn Speedway. And I thought, okay, we've seen this before. Keep watching. We're not done yet. And I don't think they're done yet. It just goes on and on.
Wow.
I would love to turn some go-kart laps there, by the way.
No kidding.
I think, is that the end of it, Spencer? I think that's the end of it.
Well,
but
that's driver getting out. That's a high-risk move that he got unbuckled at all.
And everybody's out there. That's the end of that one. So pretty wild. As we mentioned, as we get into racing, talk it out in the pits. Don't use your race car as a weapon. Someone's going to get hurt. Taking it from the redneck side of things all the way to the expensive side. This is Mikey Krutchka's Sprint Car Dyno sent us a video this week. You guys were waiting for the kaboom at the end because typically there's a story. Yeah. I should have told you that. It doesn't blow up, but this is just we don't get some real first generation video of a car, sprint car engine on the dyno. So roll this. This is Mikey Krutchka's new 360 prepared by Terry Benton, guys. I would love to be on the highway, just winding that sucker up. It produced around 660, they say, on the dyno. That's video number 2. Video number 3, out of the park at Orange County. This was a wild wreck over the weekend, Adam. Big block modified, jumps the fence at Orange County Speedway. Might not have been a big block, but oof.
Yeah, that's Jimmy Horton, I think he crashed with.
Wow, Horton's lucky that he didn't get, he was right in that side angle where he could have got wedged over too. Play that one more time, Spencer. Watch the 43 when he comes across the nose of this car. Right there, if the guy who flipped didn't dig in, he would have flipped Horton. Play it one more time, Spencer, and watch on top of him. Right there, bam.
There,
Horton would have been taking that roll if he didn't catch the rut. Wild. Everybody was okay, and good to see. Oof. 2, 3 and a twist.
I think you missed one. They
Wow.
flipped so fast. I think, anyhow.
Still wild. Next one. First time at the racetrack. This is someone trying to cross 96. I can make it. He looked left, and look at the sprint car. Look at the closing rate. Oh! Play it again. Spencer, please. so I can poo my pants one more time. And I got a story about this.
Will be lap number 1. That lap time 11.
So he looks left. Give me the right. Whoa. I thought we almost seen a death there.
Yeah,
Do you
was
know the
close.
story that I have about someone running across a live track at Ashweekon? Do you remember that night?
Was it the fight night?
Yep.
Yep. Then yes, I do.
So there was a big fight in the pits between some of the mod stock guys, and I don't need to name names, but one of the mod stock drivers was getting mobbed in the pits after trying to leave and hitting someone's crew guy, and then it just went into a total chaos. During a 360 SOS race at Ashweekon Speedway, before we had weekly 360 sprint cars, as you said earlier, the sports from the top division, the driver was being mobbed in the pits and being jumped. So he had nowhere to go, but he ran down the off-ramp at Ashweekon in turn 2 and ran right out through the field of cars when they were under green in the sprint cars. Ran across the infield. Thankfully, we went yellow. And by the time he got to the front stretch, we were yellow, and he ran up to the tower and said, "I'm getting mobbed, call the cops or something." But, man, to see a driver run across, and it was like Frogger with sprint cars. It was unbelievable.
Yeah, you run into sprint car traffic for your protection.
I know. I think I'd rather take a punch in the face than a kick in the balls.
It was a big mob.
Oh, yeah, just oof. That's freaky stuff. As a promoter, you just cringe at that. But the worst part was he didn't even look to the traffic. The last look he did, he took one look and it was down the track that way. Like, look at right here. He looks. He looked down the backstretch instead of where the cars are coming. And you know what? I am guilty of that. I have tested my luck, not that close, and not even near that close, but enough times that I thought, shit, if I fell there, I would have been in trouble. So just don't mess around.
Where was that? I'm looking in the background of a sprint car going up a ramp. Like it's a weird layout.
I mean, Stephen Oven's comment, he says, when you really have to go number 2 and the infield doesn't have bathrooms. Well, he just went number 2 and so did the driver right there.
Yep. Oh, boy.
Let's see what else we got. I think that's it for the videos. Yes. So let's go back to our last video. This is not part of the medley. This is a talk bit. Sauble Speedway is bringing back a combined fours division, Adam. And what this is, if you're new to it, pretty much they bring all the pavement 4-cylinder divisions in, and they have a breakout time that as long as you're under that time, you are legal to race. I love this idea. You put a throttle stop on if you got a really rocket car, tune it down, see where you go, run that promo video, Spencer. This is something I really was impressed by. Kudos to Sauble for running this deal. So, Adam, do you know how that works? Is that you cannot have any laps under 17.3, or your average lap time has to be no better than 17.3?
I'm not 100%. Maybe I'll give Jeff Cassidy a call through the week and find out what the deal is there. It's a great idea. Like,
I love it.
Sauble Speedway is unique because it is so far from population, but it's a huge tourist spot. Like, it's a big commitment to go there and race. So I think that's a neat idea. I'd like to put, wouldn't like to put a car together to do it, but I'd love to borrow someone else's. I'm sure I can go slow enough.
I like it. I think it's a great way, instead of equalizing things by weights or, different tire compounds or everything. I love the idea. You guys figure out how you're not going to go faster than you need to, but bring your car and let's have some fun. I think it's going to be great. So we'll see
Now,
how it goes. Matt Bray says you can't
Matt,
go over, but that doesn't make sense.
yeah, I don't think.
You got to be under the lap time, I would say.
Yeah, I think
We'll
you're
get some
right.
clarification. Keep the comments coming. Adam, let's talk about tire shortages. That's been a big thing in the industry right across the board now. Not just tires, lots of parts. Us at OSR are finding trouble getting parts. You're going to find teams are going to find problems getting certain things throughout the year. Even some engine builders have told their teams in the States, we just can't get certain parts. So what you got's what you got to get through the summer until we can get restocked. Now, you had talked to Adam Lockwood from Grisdale about the American Racer program, and they had put out a statement last week on the 9th, and it says, a couple of the Coles notes here as I read them. If you've not already done so, I strongly suggest that you make plans to control consumption at the point of sale. So they're telling dealers, do not let anybody hoard 50 tires. Only sell what they need to sell. This is something we also heard from Hoosier Tire as well. So this is not just an American Racer. This is a rubber situation in the racing world. And this is the comment that got me, Adam. We believe it is likely that all tracks and series will be forced to alter, postpone, or cancel some events because of this industry-wide problem. So you must do what you can do to conserve product to maximize your racing schedule. That's a very, especially here in Canada, where we just are about to go racing. Now you're saying, wait a minute, we might not have the tires we need to finish the year. But we do have good news around here. So that is not going to affect anybody in our market, we don't think. And by our market, we mean the short tracks in Ontario. Grisdale's got it together. We tried to get Adam Lockwood on the show. We just couldn't connect the dots today, Adam. But what's Adam Lockwood telling you from the American Racer side? Rumors are we are good to go up here, right?
Yeah, they order tires a little bit differently at Grisdale's for the season. They have a stockpile of tires that they're comfortable will get them through most of the season. They've got more on the way. Some of the high consumption events, like even the Dream at Eldora, the teams were on a quota. They were on a limit of tires they could purchase. So for what they do up here, he says they've got lots of 10-inch slicks, lots of 8-inch tires in stock. They are apparently preventing people from ordering 20 tires at a time, like to match tires and run a lot of a season, because people will do that. So they say they have it completely under control, and that's not a concern up here.
In the sprint car side of we did get the call from Erica Bicknell at Hoosier Racing Tire about a month ago, and she was kind of taking pre-orders, but then called me back and said they were able to figure it out, and we're going to be okay up here on the sprint car side too. So that's great news for the Ontario scene. Things, Stephen Ovens again with a great comment says pistons and wheels are like gold here in New York right now, and that's what we're told. Aluminum stuff to come by. We've also heard on the crate motor side, if you can find a 602. I mean, we just sold our last one a week and a half ago. And we're told it's because GM can't get the aluminum to get the intakes made right now. They have no intakes for the 602 crates. So if you can find them and they're for sale, we suggest you buy them if you think you're going to need one. It's going to be pretty wild to see how it goes. What do we got? We got a couple more minutes left. So that takes that. Let's go to the lights are on at Southern Ontario Motor Speedway. They've turned on all lights at Southern Ontario Motor Speedway. We are there, not this Saturday, the Saturday after on June 26th. Let's take a look at it, Spencer. It looks nice, man. This is going to be so awesome. What is that noise we're hearing? Is that your phone, Adam?
Well, see, this phone is on vibrate, and my wife just called. She's got a new job. She's working afternoons. My work phone over there is what you could hear is not on vibrate. She called that phone when I didn't answer that one. So that's why I looked down and messaged her and said, honey, I'm doing my show with Clint. She said, oh, with 2 H's. So that's kind of like, oh, okay.
Yeah. It's only the, 88th Tuesday in a row, Angie, that we've done this at 8 p.m.
Right? I was about to say something. Yeah, well, you're the one who has that high-pitched beep as though you've got a French fry fryer or something. But I thought, no, I didn't. Why make it a fight? We haven't fought tonight at all, which is odd because I just thought we were going to.
We need to start getting along because we put the band back together on Saturday face-to-face. So we've all got to get along. So we just looked at the lights on Southern Ontario Motor Speedway. Super excited to get back to there. I don't know if I'm supposed to say it, but damn it, I'm going to say it anyways. I think they're getting the cool lights like we got our weekend. And that's going to make really set that place off. Sorry, Blake, if I wasn't supposed to say that. Let's look at let's run this video, Adam. This is the Kyle Larson, Josh Rice video of the late model that blew up. The engine just kind of went rogue. And also, Mike pointed out back to the Dream and late models, which we're going back to. It was interesting to hear that guys could only buy 5 tires per night for the Dream. So they were even controlling consumption at Eldora for the biggest late model race of the year.
That's what I just said. Like 5 minutes ago, I said that very thing, and then Mike confirmed it. You're a jerk.
No, I thought you were saying that.
No, it was better when you read it.
Fair enough. No, run this video, Spencer.
For you watching at home on Flow. Race for the lead on the left. Battle for the final transfer spot on the right. Here comes Kyle Larson in the 6.
Rice will do the crossover.
Side by side. This battle between Josh Rice in the 11 car with the red tail and Larson on the 6 car on the left side of your screen. Larson gets by him, and then the motor goes away on Josh Rice. Great battle.
Kyle Larson in the 6, Josh Rice in the 11. Eldora, you've got a new leader. It's Elk Grove,
but it's what happens after the engine goes sour that is what we're going to discuss.
And then MAV TV plus Longhorn. Rice has not given up.
Still 3 to go, Adam, but I should have given Spencer a better in and out, but we're almost there.
That's all right. Seeing Kyle Larson take laps is always a good thing.
Letting Kyle Larson out of his crosshairs. Those 2 drivers well ahead.
Man, they're barely lifting.
Rice continues to tiptoe around the top side of the Howland half-mile high-banked oval. White flag.
That is fast place.
0.6 of a second. Larson trying to... Josh Rice smoke out of the 11. No. Final lap. No. Oh, man.
See, that's some good announcing. Like, they feel his pain. They're all like, oh,
that's right.
No. Okay, so as we follow it, doesn't look crazy, right? Pulls in, pulls down pit road. Oh, my motor's gone. We get it. It broke.
Oh, man. What a tough...
The crazy part, though, Adam, is you cannot turn it off now, and it goes on a runaway rev section, if you will, and just revs the heck out of it.
Yeah.
Keep going, Spencer. You got to keep going.
This is the good part. Listen close, folks.
Did we cut it off, Spencer? I think we're trying to get back to it.
Spencer's pedaling as fast as he can. Yeah. So I've heard... There's not a ton of things in racing, Clinton, that I've never heard of. I've heard of this in a diesel engine. I've never seen this in a race car engine. Like a diesel engine, you can get a runaway condition because it runs on glow plugs, right? So there's certain things that'll happen and it just rev up until it basically melts down. Never seen that happen in a gas-powered, or heard of that happening in a gas-powered engine.
Well, while Spencer gets it re-queued to that point, my best friend Algis, back when we were 19, bought a brand new, well, not brand new, but a very clean used Volkswagen Jetta, and picks me up. And we go for a drive, and we get to the corner of Barton and Parkdale and Hamilton, and all of a sudden this thing just starts revving. I go, what are you doing? And he goes, I'm not doing nothing. He shut it off. We both got out of the car. It's billowing black smoke like you would not believe, revving up, and like it's going to blow, and all of a sudden just goes, disperses. We get in, started up, drove it away. I never heard of dieseling. Okay, so right now, thanks, Spencer. We threw this video in last minute, so I didn't give a chance to give him the proper.
So look at someone's giving the signal. Hey, shut it off. And someone just said, "Hey, get out."
Holy cow!
Okay, let's listen to the video. Spencer, can you give us the sound?
Here it is. Man, what a heartbreak for that team. We're gonna try to get a word with them. Haven't seen that much smoke out of a race car in a long time, guys. We'll see if we get an update. But obviously something going very south.
You understand what's going on. A piston broke, and the hot oil is somehow going up and propelling those engines, and they're just running hotter and hotter and hotter, which to me doesn't make sense, like you said, in a diesel off gold plug. But on an HEI, I don't get it. We tried to get an engine builder on to explain it too. But it's still revving. Listen to it.
We'll go back. We'll have the green-white checkered, and we're going to have to.
That thing
we
is still
can't see.
smoking. I can't. You cannot see.
Cannot see
Now,
turns 3 and 4.
yeah.
The back
Kudos
straight
to the
anything
fire
does.
Those of you watching at home, look at that. If those of you watching at home, that's
Because the two ways, like they said, the ways you can end this, the engine blows up or you suffocate it.
Some 6 or 8 years ago, down to the infield.
So guys, the throttle is hung open down here. Mark Richards and other people trying to help him, but the throttle, they've taken it out of gear, but the throttle is hung open on this race car.
Wow.
So what winds up happening,
That's
the fire
unbelievable.
crew douses the air cleaner, so they suffocate
I have not seen anything like that.
the
James.
air
I mean,
trying to
that
get
is-
into this engine, and that's how they eventually get it shut down.
Wild. Like you said, very rare in our many years of racing, in 25 years announcing, have we ever come across, it's rare that we come across things we've never seen before. That was one of them at the races anyways. So where do we want to go? Let's get through a couple quick things. The tractor sprint. This is just a cool thing that come across our deal. Somebody was asking about this tractor that they built for an older gentleman. He loves sprint cars, and they said, yeah, Dad wanted a sprint car wing on his tractor, so we built the roll bar and put the sprint car tank on. I just thought it was something cool. Sprint car wheel for Grandpa out there while he's plowing the fields. I thought it was kind of neat.
Number 50.
Do we want to get too much into the Hirschman deal, Adam? And the F3 driver discussions, those were just topics we had if we needed time. Basically, let's talk about the Matt Hirschman deal. He won the Whelen modified race at Oswego on the weekend, came in not necessarily regular on the series. His crew guy, before he got to Victory Lane, was out there doing something with the tires. And the other teams are disputing that they were messing with bleeders. He was saying they were just checking pressure. There was a lot of speculation as to what it could have been. Did you read the article? What's your take on it?
No, I didn't read the article. I watched the race on NBC Gold Track Pass because I watch way too much racing. And I fell asleep before the end, so I didn't see it. I will say this. NASCAR has a lot of procedures on how you run a race, how you facilitate penalties, and what you're allowed to throw someone out for. If that happened at Ush Weekend, I have watched you disqualify a driver in Victory Lane for actions taken in Victory Lane by a crew member on that car. And we say it, I don't know if we've ever said it publicly, Clinton, but we say it privately to people when we're talking about iRacing, other events. Do not make rules you cannot enforce. Enforce the rules that you can, but you've got to try to predict everything that might happen because you have to have a rule for it.
100%. It's hard. If you're going to make a rule, you must stick to it. I just sent Spencer that video of me throwing the guy out in Victory Lane. I don't know if he'll be able to process it. If not the end of the world. It's a 1-minute video. But Hirschman, here's how it was listed in the write-up. And, like you said, NASCAR is letting him keep it. He didn't feel like there was anything wrong. He laughed it off as a whatever situation. But I'll just tell you how it was in the story. It says, after Hirschman took the checkered flag, he completed his cool-down lap, then stopped on the track. The NBC Track Pass cameras were focused on his car, and just after Hirschman stopped, a crew member carrying a tire pressure gauge rushed toward the car and began removing something from the rim of the left rear of the tire. The crew member then moved along to doing the same thing at the left front, then the right front, and then finally the right rear. After finishing on the right rear, the crew member can be seen on the broadcast putting something in his pocket, then moving towards the front of the car as the other crew members arrive. By last minute, social media was buzzing as video captures of the crew member in the car were being posted, with many making the accusation that the crew member was removing bleeder valves from the valve stems of the tires. Bleeder valves on the stem can help a team manage consistent tire pressure as tires heat up. The nitrogen used to inflate them expands, changing the tire stagger, and the bleeder valve can be set to keep a consistent pressure. So, these are situations. It happened at Ush Weekend in a situation in sprint cars right when we were on the cusp of outlawing bleeder valves, and the team kind of got away with it, and it was a sticky situation. But yeah, man, it is tough. I did catch the one guy the one time, and at that point we were just using new rev boxes, and the accusation was there was a limiter chip that had to be in your rev box, and the rev box was under the hood, And the accusation was it was in place, but with a piece of duct tape. And what they would do is they would push it in before they went to tech. But during the race, that motor could just rev as high as it wanted to, where everybody else was limited to 6,000. Here it is here. And I happen to be in victory lane, and you and I are managing at the time. And he's clearly up to the elbow down his thing. And he said, nah, what are you going to do? You can't do nothing about that. You're just the announcer. And I said, I'm sorry, sir, but I'm the manager, and you're disqualified. And there was speculation this was going on a couple other tracks, and we actually caught them doing it. And those are certain things you can't do in victory lane. You can't touch the car in those ways. So we're always watching for that. If I got my microphone and I got my back turned, don't think Doug Leonard and Kyle and everybody else aren't clearly watching everyone's actions in victory lane for those types of situations. So I don't know. Sometimes you catch it, sometimes you don't. Last one, Adam, was about F3 driver disgusted. I just thought the choice of words looked like he lost his sponsor, and he was saying how disgusted he was. I don't know if, there was something more to the story we missed there, but it just seemed like, the performance was there, lost the ride, and I was just see someone say they were disgusted.
Google Translate is not always your friend.
That could be.
I'm not convinced. Yeah, I'm not convinced that story was written in English the first time, but it goes back to a real problem in racing. Racing is pay to play. I love racing with all of my heart, Clinton. That's the problem. I can't walk away from it. I am very disheartened at how elite racing is, how unattainable racing is for people who want to do it. It makes me sad. I'm not angry. I'm not frustrated. It sucks.
I'll give you that, Adam. But I think, how do I put this? I don't want to say elite. I don't want to say any. A lot of the hobbies that we take on as adults cost money. And granted, a lot of them aren't being supported by paying crowds, so to speak, at which point give us the feeling that we should get in for free. You should be able to do it for free. It should be more cost effective, and it should be cheaper. If golf is an elitist sport, even let's look at hockey or minor football. I mean, it still costs thousands of dollars to put your kid in minor hockey if you don't have anything, if you didn't grow up in the sport, just like anybody coming off the streets into racing. Now, racing, yes, is more expensive, but I would beg to differ to say you could almost run a mini stock for what you could, a couple kids in hockey, and also you can go out and get businesses to support your habit, whereas you're not going to get nobody to help you pay for your golf rounds or your kids' hockey. Yeah. So there is.
If you want to go and play on a Friday or Saturday, if you want to make it in racing, give me a list. Give me a list of 10 lower middle class or under people who have made it to stardom in racing in the last 25 years. And I'm not saying that as you can't do it. Please let me know. Maybe Jimmy Johnson, maybe Kyle Larson. I don't know all of their backstories, but for everyone you can show me, I'll show you 50 who were funded to the point that they could not be denied. And even then, it is what it is. It's not something to say, oh, I'm infuriated by this. It's just the facts.
Yeah. I can't disagree. The one I heard over the weekend that kind of shocked me, because I'm not a fan of him, was Denny Hamlin. His parents mortgaged their house twice to keep him going over the years so he could make it up the rung to where he needed to be. So that's one. I don't have anyone other than that. You could say Stuart Friesen paid his bills, but he still came from a place where they owned speedways, and there was money in that deal at some point, a lot more than somebody else just off the street, right?
And I'm not knocking them. Good for them. Good for those with the opportunity. For a person to commit themselves to race at an elite level, whether you're Ryan Blaney or Chase Elliott, whether you're Paul Menard, they have sacrificed, they have trained, they have given themselves to the sport, to excel at the sport. So take nothing away from them. But if you were to take the top 40 drivers who were absolutely passionate, the most passionate about stock car racing in North America, how many of them would be in the starting lineup of this weekend's Cup race?
Yeah. No, you bring up a good point. Matt DiBenedetto, Mike says.
Hey, did it surprise anybody else? Sorry, I keep talking. Did it surprise anyone else that Matty D won the most popular driver to get in and it wasn't Bubba Wallace?
No, I don't think so. You know, he was obviously the fan choice. Look at why he managed to keep those rides. It's because the fan stuff said, wait, we can't lose this guy. He's good.
Yeah.
You know?
I found it shocking. Like with Michael Jordan behind you.
Yeah.
It's the same reason why Blake's singers often win The Voice. He's the best salesperson.
Well, I think it's going to wrap up the show. 10 minutes overdue. Don't forget, Friday at 5 p.m., we are live. G4's first broadcast of the season from Flamborough Speedway with the Pro Late models, Canadian Vintage Modifieds, Pure Stocks, Mini Stocks, Super Stocks. Don't forget to check it out. I want to thank everybody who's getting behind those programs. We'll be ready to knock it out of the park on Saturday at 5 p.m. Thanks, Spencer, for everything you do. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. When we get on the air Saturday, share it up. Let's get the season going and help us promote it, and we'll help get you guys back to the track. We're pulling for you guys every day. As Adam said, we miss you. We need you there. And
good point, Alvers. Wood Brothers Racing. I got to give Alvers credit for that. He makes a lot of comments, but I got to give him credit when he makes that one. We'll see you guys next week. We'll see you on the weekend in Flamborough. Don't you dare miss it. Was that Gorilla Monsoon or Billy Red Lions that used to say that?
That's your department. I don't know. But I like it. Say it again.
Don't you dare miss it. Steven, thanks for tuning in to you as well.